Good evening and welcome to the Holy Spirit's Blog Talk Radio Show. I'm your host, Minister G.L. Hart, and I thank you all for tuning in. Tonight's show, we're going to be talking about the effects of rap music and what it may or may not have on our youth today. This wonderful article I found was written actually about 2 years ago by this psychologist, and he had did a recent study, and there have been several other studies that have been done dealing with rap music and its lyrics and its beats and the effect that it has on our kids today. So we're going to be talking about in a minute, does rap music and the lyrics hypnotize our kids and in return affects their behavior? There were so many things that went on in the 90s dealing with rap music, and we're going to talk a little bit more deeper about that in a minute as well. Dealing with, there was a campaign, big campaign. I believe it was Dolores Tucker, along with several other. I think it was Al Sharpton and quite a what's the other brother name that started a huge debate dealing with rap music and the type of music and how it was affecting our urban cities and our badly low-income areas, to say the least. So we'll be talking about that in just a moment. But I wanted to remind you that you all can go to our website at www.holyspiritsradio.com, and there you can find all the amenities and the latest of what's going on dealing with this show. And there are also some shows on Food for the Soul page as well that we did some months ago with Miss Shirley Chapman. And you can also go and support our Nehemiah project that's on the page as well. And the Nehemiah project is underway. And we're going to be dealing with a lot of issues dealing with the Nehemiah project that's basically focused around restoring communities, but also dealing with a midterm election. We certainly shall be getting out there and telling people to get out and vote and use the power that they have with the voting privileges and get some of these people out of office, man. I mean, there are too many crooks in office. Surely enough, you're not going to get rid of all of them, but if you don't make any stance, then what do you expect? They're going to continue to be corrupt government. They're going to continue to tease you like putting a steak on a stick and waving it in front of a dog with this education thing and this healthcare thing, and it's not going to happen. Sure, we got the healthcare in motion, but dealing with unemployment, it's not going to happen. Dealing with how the police treat us in our communities, it's not going to happen if you don't get out and vote and make yourself known and make yourself heard. We can't have the same people winning election year after year, and then we go home and we're complaining and moping and groaning about something that we had the ability to do, and we did nothing about it. So that's going to be part of the Nehemiah project, and we'll talk more about that as we get closer. But you can go to the Gifts from the Heart page, and you can click on there from the HolySpiritsRadio.org .com website, and the Holy Spirit is spelled with a Z. You can go to that page .com, HolySpirits.com, and go to the Gifts from the Heart page and give any donation of any kind, people. We're in need of donations for T-shirts, for food, for medical supplies, for camping supplies. We need tents, we need banners, posters, quite a few things, flyers, and quite a few things we're going to need to carry this throughout the summer and the remaining next 2 years to come. We're excited about it. We're excited about it. So we thank you again for that. You can also follow us on the Holy Spirit's Blog Talk Radio Show. Just follow us. And once you follow us on this radio show, then you can be informed of every show that we do any given time of the day. And finally, if you want to advertise on this show, right now we're putting together a website. I've had many folks calling me about doing advertisement on this show. But as for now, if you want to do advertisement on this show, again, you can go to the Holy Spirit's radio.com page and go to the contact page. You can either call me at that number, or you can email me at holyspiritsradio@gmail.com, and we will certainly give you the full package on how much it will be to advertise on the website. We have a special going on now. For the first 6 months, it's only $25 a month, and you'll get advertising for 5 days a week on the Holy Spirit's radio show. So that's a pretty good deal. $25 for the first 6 months, and so we ask you all to give us a call, and if you have any type of business, we would love to hear from you and begin to promote you and be a vessel for you and your business building the kingdom. Dealing with tonight's topic, as I said earlier, there were quite a bit of people dealing with rap. We know that rap began in the 80s with the Sugar Hill Gang, and then you had Furious Five and so on and so forth, and Grandmaster Flash, and when rap initially began, it was just the dozens. It was people just rapping and talking about partying and having a good time, and you rarely heard about women, and definitely in any negative form. Didn't hear that, and it moved people. It moved, sold millions. And then fast forward, we get to the late 80s and early 90s, and here you have gangster rap coming out of the West Coast, and it was cruel, disrespectful, didn't have a care in the world, and we know that spilled from the popularity of crack cocaine in our neighborhoods, in our urban neighborhoods and suburbia neighborhoods. And what a shame that is. And I'm gonna say this real quick, and I'm gonna get off of it. What a shame it is that all these brothers who call themselves gang leaders allowed the infiltration of this sick chemical to be entered into our neighborhoods that affected our kids, hundreds of thousands of our kids and teenagers, mothers, fathers in these neighborhoods. But it was given to you by some white man, and you took it and you sold it into your own neighborhoods. That Willie Lynch mentality. But you're pretending it's about money. How the hell you making money when you got to be on a corner every night? That's chicken change. And you sold this poison to your own damn people. And folk respected you in the neighborhood like you was somebody. And you was only a house nigga. Doing the man's plan to destroy your own people. And certainly that's what you did. I'm telling you, folks gonna have to account for all this bloodshed. All these broken homes, suicides, murder, rape, robbery, all this sickness in the world, nothing to do with God, and everything to do with principalities. And I don't care if you were from California or New York City. Every black person back in them days knew God. So you can't get around that, but I'm sorry. You cannot get it, because if your mama didn't know it, and your dad didn't know it, your grandmama knew it. So everybody, and all Christ was saying is, long as you have heard about God and about the good news, that's it. Now it's up to you to step into it or to walk into your destiny. But the fact that you don't get it doesn't give you an excuse to go out there and say, well, my dad never taught me about God. Your grandmother did. You just didn't give a damn. So you can't use that excuse. Well, my mama never took me to church. But your grandmama told you about God. You just didn't give a damn. So tired of people trying to find any loophole to do what the hell they want to do. But it's always about doing evil, which is supposed to be cool. Selling out. You sitting there selling drugs in your own neighborhood to your own people. That's a sellout. How the hell can you call MC Hammer a sellout when he was making millions trying to help people? And you made your millions destroying people. And yet these kids emulate you. Larry Hoover, Freeway, all these big name guys back in the day, Frank White, all these names. Highly honored and respected like you really did something. You didn't create schools. As you may gave some damn turkeys away in your neighborhood, but you didn't do anything else besides give out some turkeys in here and there. You did what the white man wanted you to do, and I hate saying that, but I'm speaking truth. And we're still doing it even now with the success of so many of our African American people. You ever wonder why black folk don't never create their own black schools, black history, dealing with healing, holistics and all that, meditation, the Egyptians and all that. You ever wonder why? Because they know better. They were told what they could do, what they could not do. So young folks, please stop looking at Jay-Z and admiring him like he's some god or something. All that money and he still can't do what he want to do. Be mindful, people. Be very, very mindful of who you choose to emulate or admire as a role model. When you look around your neighborhood, especially Chicago, ain't a damn thing going on in Chicago that has been changed to greatness. Because they know better. They don't want to lose their money, their fame. So they go along with what masters say they better do. Let me move on. As I was saying, back in the 80s and early 90s, there was a woman by the name of C. Dolores Tucker. She passed some years ago, but she was a political and social activist, and she had waged a fiery national campaign against obscenities in rap music, and she was once the highest-ranking African American woman in Pennsylvania state government. She focused a spotlight on rap music in '93, calling it pornographic filth. She wasn't lying and saying it was demeaning and offensive to black women. You can't listen to all that language and filth without it affecting you, she said. She passed out leaflets with lyrics from gangster raps and urged people to read them aloud. She picketed stores, sold the music. She handed out petitions and demanded congressional hearings. She also bought stock in Sony, Time Warner, other companies so she could protest at the shareholder meeting. That's power, people. This woman put her money where her mouth was. And crossing political lines, Mrs. Tucker, a Democrat, joined forces with former Secretary of Education William Bennett. He was a Republican, as well as Joseph Lieberman. And Bennett called her, at the time, a daunting figure. And usually I'm the noisy one, but she's ferocious, he said. In '94, Mrs. Tucker protested when the NAACP, on whose board of trustees she sat, nominated rapper Tupac Shakur one of his Image Awards. So she was upset that Tupac won an Image Award back in '94. And rappers called her narrow-minded. Some ridiculed her in their lyrics. She was sued by 2 record companies. And the Silver Spring-based organization she co-founded in '84, now called the National Congress of Black Women, became the vehicle through which she waged her battle. She succeeded late Congressman Shirley Chisholm as national chair back in '92. And Mrs. Tucker, an elegant woman who spoke with a stirring Candace, had a long history in the civil rights movement and politics. And she raised funds for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People and joined Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in marches and demonstrations calling for equality and justice. Here's the thing, people. Because I remember back then that she was making so much noise about this gangster rap. And it was so new to people and so different that people were angry that this woman was standing for what she believed in. And here it is. This woman got her head bashed in. She marched with the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Fighting for your civil rights and everything. Equality and justice. And here we are, that ended basically in the 70s. And here you are 20-something years later, 15, 18, 20 years later, and we done took 5 steps back with gangster rap. And I remember NAACP. I knew they was full of it back then. When they was riding around, police be mess with us and we don't care about it. Listen, people are who they are. And that is a shame. Folk will stop you for what you driving. I'm a 40-something-year-old man. I got a 96 Caprice. I get stopped in that car so many times. You have to see the police officers making U-turns. Here it is, 2014. People are who they are. So I don't need a rapper to tell me, the police, they stopped me. Listen, I got on a suit and tie. He'd make a U-turn and pull me right on over. Because that's the mindset that these people, some folks grow up in. And even though they are adults and they should know better. See, some folks like the fact that because they're a certain race, that they can get things quite easier. Now, not all of our brothers and sisters who are white believe that and buy into that because they know they are spiritual beings and we are all one. And that's a mighty thing to understand when you know that God created us all equally. But you do have the ones who are of other principalities who are in high places or who are in authority. They just enjoy it. And they will use it and abuse it. They know it's not true. But hey, if it works for me, I'm gonna run it till the wheels fall off. And that's the world we live in today. This wonderful woman, what she said, I realized we always started at the church and marched to to the political kingdom, whether the local or state or national, she told the Washington Post back in 95. This is C. Dolores Tucker speaking. She said, I realized that where we needed to go to make a difference, that's where the decisions are being made that affected our lives, but we weren't in those seats. And Cynthia Dolores Nonitz was born in Philadelphia back in October 4th of 1927. You know, she was 10 of 11 children of a minister and a Christian feminist mother. And in 51, she married William Tucker, construction company owner who grew prosperous in Philly in real estate. She later sold real estate and insurance in Philadelphia. Powerful woman. Powerful woman. And well, the awesome thing she did, standing up, really, until she passed some 5 years. I think she passed in 2000, I think it was 8, I believe it was, 2009, she passed at the age of 78. But what an awesome woman who stood by what she believed in. And that's how she died, people. Righteousness. I keep telling you that. Everything you should do should be in excellence and in righteousness. And that sometimes that means speaking out for your people. And not sitting back because ain't nothing happening to you. Trust me. Trouble is only a day short from anybody. But I want to read you real quick this article I saw, like I was saying earlier, by this young psychiatrist named Dr. Nelson Harrison. Wonderful psychiatrist, but he's also a musician among anything. I mean, he has so many trades. But there was an article that was did with him back in 2012 from a Techyville news article. It was out of Techyville. And the psychologist says hip-hop beats and violent lyrics hypnotize kids and changes their behavior. It was written back in November 2012. And Dr. Nelson is an interesting man. And I'm going to read what this writer, the question that the writer asked Dr. Harrison and his response to the questions from this article. But Dr. Harrison, he's a psychiatrist and an interesting man, but he's not only accomplished, but he has a thirst for knowledge that simply cannot be matched. He's a clinical psychologist, among other things, and has an acute understanding of history of music and how music can affect the mind. We always talk about the mind, the mind. And as a part of this, Dr. Boyce Watkins, Your Black World Spotlight, Dr. Harrison speaks about the metaphysics of music and specifically answers questions related to how hip-hop music can impact the minds of our kids. And one of the most interesting pieces of Dr. Harrison's response is this. He said that drum machines was designed to imitate human drummers. However, the machine produces a quantized beat that is mathematically perfect. And this makes it a perfect hypnotic trance inducer that allows post-hypnotic suggestions, the content to become embedded into the subconscious mind of the listener. And the human subconscious mind receives it basic programming between the age of 0 to 6 years of age. And Dr. Harrison went on to say that we see the results of several decades of gangster rap coming through the earphones wound by a child in diapers only on a daily basis. And it certainly is not the child's fault that their reality base consists of some of the images that the industry is putting in the market. And what's so fascinating about this doctor in his work is that it goes back to the debate that it was a debate back in Georgetown University with Professor Michael Eric Dyson had. And during the debate, which he explained that when children are being fed a daily message on the radio, which teaches them that black men are supposed to stay high and drunk and kill one another, sleep with every woman in the building, and be proud of being ignorant, this destructive message ends up creating an oppressive partnership, doing which we buy into our own self-destruction. And this is so amazing because here it is in 2012, he did this article, and Dolores Tucker, that is, was doing her thing back in 92, dealing with gangster rap music. And 20 years later, now we have these physics, and these doctors are coming forth and saying, oh, she was right. So again, you know, parents, you got to be really mindful before I get into some of these questions that he was asked. You know, it bothers me when I see a young 21-year-old and 18, 16-year-old kid with a baby, and she got gangster rap or just rap music with all of them. I got Drake, Lil Wayne, anybody, you know, just filth, and the little kid in the back seat with the beat and this bobbing his or her head and the music on loud and the same music, you know, over, and they said it over and over and over, the same lyric repetitively in that child's mind. Now you're planting a seed in that child, and you get the audacity to tell people, oh, she's gonna be a doctor. But you got Drake in her head going, got everything, I got everything, over and over and over. That child ain't worrying about being no doctor. She's trying to be a hoe. Because that's what the music says she is. At 18 months old, 3 years old, 6 years old, 12 years old. It's amazing. I thank God that I had enough sense when my daughters were small. I never played that garbage in my car. I would put it on an R&B station or a gospel station. But never did I expose. Now, they heard it. My daughters will tell you right now, all the 80s and 60s, 70s music they heard growing up. Music, man. Music is the element of life. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But everything flows. Everything has a rhythm, a vibration. That's how God made us. Vibrations. And Dr. Harrison, he was asked to explain the ideal behind the metaphysics of music, and this is what he said. He said, metaphysics is a paradigm that endeavors to investigate first causes of all existence and knowledge. It seeks to explain the nature of being, the origin and structure of the world, in relationship between the ethereal and the physical. Metaphysics holds that the soul, the spirit, and the physical body are one as in the universe. And the concept of separation is an illusion of our limited choice of perception that are due in time to be challenged. And the metaphysics of music is a comprehensive look into the properties and the value of music known by the ancients and rediscovered in modern understanding with an examination of its value and utility in the new millennium. And we refrain from discussing music as an art on purpose in order to direct the reader's attention more toward the less familiar aspect of music. Then he got a little bit deeper when he talked about quantum scientists, which they have sought the smallest building block or substrate in the universe for the past 100 or more years. The latest assessment is almost exactly what the ancients must have known. It is called string theory, which in essence says that the universe is music. It seems that music may be the energy that organizes matter and perhaps everything else as well. String music, people. God gave us beauty, ashes for beauty. He created rap music. But all the filth that you add to it, all for $1. That's his demonic forces and principalities and high places. Has nothing to do with God. The meaning of the word music is deeper, richer, and more complex than what any single source, especially a dictionary which deals in the outer layers of surface meanings could possibly define or describe. If you trace the etymology of music, you'll discover that early in human history, it meant the art of muses, which covers in classical mythology 9 of the bases in the performance arts, including astronomy, music of the spheres. Spend some time with the thinkers and teachers like Hazarat, Enoch, Khan, the mysticism of sound and music, and you'll discover that for the millennia, enlightened folks have realized that the essence of music is the same as that of, namely, movement. I just told you that. Vibrations, music, oneness. Once we begin, let me tell you something about music. And this article, by the way, is very extensive, so I won't be able to get into it, but I want to hit on the key points. I want you to understand something. It is systematically designed, meaning rap music. Why do you think it's so big? Because it takes you out of rhythm, out of sync of who you are. And I'm talking everybody, every nationality, ethnicity, gender. That's what music does. Katy Perry, all that old foolishness y'all listen to all over the beat, you're banging your head and it sounds so good. It's just feeling you up and taking you off rhythm, because we all are rhythmic beings. This is why money is so irrelevant. And you got to get this, people. And this is why the wealthy people work so hard to keep you dumb, confused, dependent, and in fear. Because if you ever decided to take out all that big bass, all that boom, 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 that ain't music, that's noise. That's noise. All these wannabe singers, Britney Spears, you can make anybody a damn singer now. But if you take away all of that and begin to understand what music really is, metaphysics of music, the metaphysics of music, and become oneness with sound, baby, you can move mountains. Because that's where Christ was. He understood the body. And if something was off kilter, he was so in tune, the blind man. That's why he could heal the blind man. He did it by faith. But he had to be in tune with the universe, with God. This is so powerful. The science of semantics can demonstrate that very dramatically. It has also determined that the nearest black hole or our solar system play a B-flat 54 octave below our hearing range. Man, Manfred Kleins has demonstrated that our emotions are elicited by vibrations and have more specifically identified 20 emotions in music produced by what he calls synthic forms. It is also demonstrable that stones can be levitized with sound, and that perhaps this is secret technology used to build the pyramids and other massive stone structures. I just told you that. Before I even read that, the Holy Spirit told me that. Didn't have to read that. Levitation. Lifting stones. I've been said that's how they trying to figure out how the pyramid got built. The wealthy knew. People were in tune with the universe. You get sick, somebody gets, you don't know what sick, there's no such thing as sickness. That's why everything you do, what you eat, what you hear, what you see, what you drink, whom you conduct yourselves with, all these things take you out of the wheel of what God intended for you to be, a God. like God, like Christ, all power, all authority. I hope you're getting this. So if listen, if you got kids right now, I'm not saying hey stop them from listening to music or rap music or whatever, but you have to introduce them to orchestra music, classical music, jazz, but teach them how to meditate, to yoga, to pray, learn mantra. All these things God gave us to keep us in tune. We're out of tune, we're out of sync because we so, and then they feed you with reality shows. Now everybody want to create their own reality show. All these people now, they try to find a gay friend, of course. All this to be seen. But that's why we're working so damn hard, people. I look at life sometime and it's like this is not what God intended. We were not intended to work for a living. We weren't. Not for a wage. And not like this. Not to the fact to the point that you can't even take a day off. You can't feed your children. Forget about cable and a phone. You can't keep a roof over your head, lights on, water on, the heat on, food on the table. The basic necessities. And they give you so much garbage to entertain you. Strip clubs, bars, nightclubs, all these things to discourage you and to confuse you and to keep you fighting for the same ignorant thing day in and day out. I'm gonna read this to you. I'm gonna end this when he talked about, he was asked a question about when you listen to violence, misogyny, and etc. in mainstream hip hop, do you believe these lyrics to be harmless or do you believe that they impact the thinking of young children? And this is Dr. Harrison said it. I'm gonna leave it with this. Hip-hop music is more than 40 years old now, and it has positive and negative aspects that we must take into account. On the positive side, it is poetry that emphasizes rhyme and sets to danceable beats. It emerged from a culture of adolescents who did not have the opportunity to learn traditional instruments to the degree of their preceding generation. And children will always create their own artistic expressions, and they usually choose a modality that is divergent of the trends preferred by their parents. And this is also expressed in dress and language styles, and adolescents are quick to copy what they perceive as a new trend. And rap originated as the word gamesmanship as word of competition became increasingly popular. And this can be seen as a positive trend toward vocabulary expansion, but it seems that the pre-adolescence is always looking for a way to one-up their predecessor. And four-letter word incorporated for shock value and has become a trend that minimizes vocabulary expansion in favor of more explicit negative image of adults' behavior associated with sex and violence. Playing the dozen was a plantation game used over many generations to train youth in attitude control in the face of insults of violence personal nature. It was a survival training for a social content where any physical and even verbal reaction to insult from the oppressor could result in one's incarceration or demise. And it most certainly requires creative verbal skills. Wonderful piece that this guy talked about, even talked about in the early 70s and so forth, about how music developed. Basically, in short, he talked about how the electronic sounds, the sequences and all those things, the drum machines came into effect that really altered the natural sound. Very important, people, that we understand that organic, anything natural, even sound, is what the body feeds upon. This is how you were created as a spiritual being. And what's so ridiculous is this: when people say, "Oh, I don't believe God came down here and Jesus and formed you. How do you think you got here? You were a spirit. and you were through your parents, you were brought down here, but you were brought down for a reason and a purpose. And when you entered this world, you lost that because you got into the world and not of the world, not knowing that this is just an experience and you here for a purpose. So you latched on to all the machines, the cell phones, all these things that people love. And oh, I heard a woman say, I can't, oh God, I'd die if I didn't have my iPhone. Then die. Anything that is not from the earth and is not made from natural, sheepskins and all those drums and all those things, strings from horse on guitars and all that, horns and all those things. If it's not of nature, then it takes you out of your element. And as he said, it's a hypnotic trance inducer that you fall in love with the beat, the rhythm, and you become a demonic spirit. And you got to add alcohol or weed to go with that spirit to enhance and enlighten it even more, conducive. And then sex comes behind that, lewdness, misogyny, all these things follow shortly behind it. And that's a demonic spirit, people. No matter how you look at it, that's a demonic spirit, and that's playing into the wealthy's hand. That's all I'm trying to tell you tonight. You're playing into the wealthy's hand. Those billionaires, I'm trying to tell you. Wonderful piece that is. And I'm going to stop right here. So much to even go in. This thing is so long and such a long interview that he did. But if you Google Dr. Harris, his name is, Harrison. Dr. Nelson Harrison. There's a YouTube video with him and Michael Eric Dyson, which they talked about if you just Google Dr. Nelson Harrison dealing with hip hop music, the YouTube should come up. And you could be able to watch that YouTube in length. It was a session that he had with a hip hop panel as well, talking about the seriousness of hip hop music and what it does and how it affects our youth and this next generation to come. Listen, my time is up, and I thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you were enlightened by this episode. I try to bring you things that really inspire and encourages people, but also brings awareness, people, to each and every community. This thing about hip hop music is for every ethnicity, every race and creed, man. Every race and creed. There's a reason why they got rid of band in many schools. No longer do they want your kids to be enlightened by music and have a creative spirit. So again, guys, if you'd like to follow us on Blog Talk Radio, you can go to holyspiritsradio.com/Holy Spirits. No, I'm sorry, you go to blogtalkradio.com/Holy Spirits with a Z, and there you'll find all the episodes. There's nearly over 100 episodes, but follow us, please follow us on that site. And again, every time we begin to do a live show, we will send you an email, and so you can begin to watch those shows live as well. And as in parting, we always say to love yourselves is to know yourselves, and to know yourselves comes by spending time with God. Take care. Have a great evening. Peace, and God bless.